Happy
Happy
bungalow!
bungalow. Happy bungalow.
We open on the weary toymaker Henry. He makes loads of old-timey wood toys inside the coolest little workshop that was formerly the cutest little barn. We find him as he's just hung up the phone, having confirmed his largest order for his most popular toy. The Cosmic Ray 84T! Zip zap zowie! It's a real-life, walking, talking robot. Additional features powered by imagination. Everything is so much cooler with imagination. Is there anything better than knowing what we'll be doing for the next few weeks? A large order, a set schedule, and... oh no. A shot of cold ran through Henry. He had forgotten what month it was. Henry didn't have 6 weeks. He had only 2. And that was something like 30 robots a week. Youch. Is that even possible? Calm down, work smart, then hard, Henry said to himself. He needed to think for a bit. He left the shop and wandered back to his house. The attic was filled with amazing treasure you'd never find in any real attic. Old gaslight lamps. There were piles and stacks of old books, loads of photographs, hardly any of them in color, paintings in gilded frames, and leather suitcases that had traveled the globe by ship. Henry sat down on the old lounger that Great Aunt Maureen swore Napoleon sat on. Please humor her. She's very fond of the story. If I only had help, said the toymaker. But our toymaker works alone. To train someone with such short notice? Then he looked up. On the old oak teacher's desk, between the television with the UHF and VHF dials and the 19th century globe, was his old wood cupboard. He stood up, put the pad and pen on the lounger that Napoleon almost certainly did not sit on, and gently touched the old cupboard. His grandfather had given him the cabinet when Henry was a boy. The lock doesn't work. The key for it is gone, his grandfather said. Do not try and make it work. Okay, Grandpa, little Henry had said. Henry soon marked the cabinet as the holding place for his favorite toy figures. He needed to keep them safe from his little brothers and big sister. They were always taking things that didn't belong to them. Then one day, when rummaging through his mother's jewelry box, Henry landed on a small brass key. That very night, he tested the key. It worked. It is difficult to describe the feelings little Henry experienced the next morning when he opened the locked cabinet to discover that all the toys inside had come to life. This is how Henry knew that toys were real. Really real. Henry could lock the toys back into the cabinet, open the door, and they were toys again. Repeating the process brought the toys back to life, so to speak. Unfortunately, none of the toys could explain the situation satisfactorily to the boy. He couldn't communicate with them. They took little notice of him. Did they need to eat? Were they happy? Had Henry freed them? Enslaved them? Too much for his young mind to consider. The thought of disappointing all those volunteers that had fixed up the school was sad. Henry let out a long breath, picked up the cabinet, and headed back to the shop. He needed robot toys, and what better way to make robot toys than with real-life robots? Real life? But none of Henry's off-the-shelf toys would do for the cabinet. They needed imagination to imbue in them unparalleled technical expertise. Henry poked around his shelves and bins for just the right. Aha! The old busted radio. He never had fixed it. Back at the workbench, Henry opened up and took apart that old busted radio. From the circuit boards inside, he snipped off microchips, capacitors, transistors, and other bits and bobs he didn't know the names of. He would transform these parts into sub-algorithmic logic units, microfine motor control, transfixing trap sinks. It was his imagination and mind that would make those little toy bots real. And the cabinet. Once all the parts had been attached to the toys, Henry stepped back to look at his highly specialized team of robot toy manufacturers. Henry nodded. He could see them clearly in his mind's eye. A motor control specialist, a systems engineer, production supervisor, materials specialist, etc., etc. There was even a little toy bot in charge of quality control. Henry placed them in the cabinet and closed the door. He turned the key and heard the click of the mechanics inside. He counted to 5, then turned the key in reverse and opened the door. And there they were, as easy as that. Toy robots brought to life. "Hello," said Henry. Yeah, boy, I'm not a narrator. The toy maker, the toy maker, the toy maker